Now that we learned a lot about creating AI images, it's also important to talk a little bit about image creation in general. So I want to include a section about composition, proportion, and aesthetics. This has nothing to do with only AI image creation, but with images in general. But it's super important to set your images apart. So let's have a look onto my screen. Good. Proportions, composition, and aesthetics in images. What is that? Proportions. If you look at these images, there's just a slight difference. And if you focus on the head, you maybe notice that the head has a different size. And this is exactly what we mean with proportions. Maybe you know this world famous drawing of Leonardo da Vinci called The Proportion Study of Vitruve, and it basically shows the perfect proportions of a human body. So the distances between the limbs and also the sizes of the different limbs. And only if the proportions are correct, an image looks nice. And as you can see here, we have the original, and then I made the head 5% smaller and also 10% smaller, because this was my first draft and I sent the image to a client and he just told me something is off. It looks a little bit weird. And then I noticed, okay, it's the size of the head. I fixed it and it just looked so much better. So keep in mind when you generate images, especially of people, to take a closer look to the proportions, because if we don't take care of the proportions, the image may appear very nice at the first look, but if you have a closer look, something just seems off, and oftentimes these are the proportions. And in most of the time, our stable diffusion tools make a great job also regarding the proportions, but sometimes they're just off, and then you have to take care of that or just generate another image, because otherwise people will notice, especially subconsciously. Good. Now the next point, aesthetics. Aesthetics is the study of beauty, taste, and the nature of art, focusing on what makes things visually, emotionally, or intellectually pleasing. So this is the definition of aesthetics. And what does this mean for images? If you look at these images, these are AI influencers I created for several clients. You may see that the images fit perfectly together regarding the color, the style, the background, the lighting, and so on. And most of the time, this aesthetic aspect is only perceived subconsciously, but it is very important, because if everything fits perfectly together and we have good aesthetics in our images, people will just think subconsciously, wow, this is a nice work and everything is nice to look and it fits perfectly together. And if the aesthetics are not good, people will think your images are somehow off or of low quality. And if we look at an example like this, you know exactly what I mean. If we see the image at the left side, this is very pleasant to watch because we have a nice clean office, well designed, all the colors fit together, we have perfect lighting, and it's just nice to see that room. You want to go into that room. And if we look at the picture at the right, well, what can I say? It's a mess. So nobody actually wants to go in there. And also the colors don't match. It's a horrible lighting. And this is just bad aesthetic. I have another example. For example, if we see that apple here, it's crystal clear which apple looks more tasty. It's the one on the left side. And we as humans, we have in-programmed in ourselves a very sensible feeling for aesthetics. We just love to watch nice things, and you have to keep that in mind when you generate images. That even though people don't notice the aesthetics consciously, they notice it subconsciously, and this sets images apart from your competitors if you just always take care of aesthetics and proportions. Here's another example for aesthetics and also composition. So composition is another important factor. Composition just means how well aligned the elements are within an image and if everything fits together perfectly. And if you look here at the sample at the left side, it's easy for the eye to follow the structure and to access everything. And we see immediately that the person who created this sample had a system in mind. So we have four images at the top of an office and we have four images of a car at the bottom. And if we go to the right side, well, sometimes also something like this can look good. For example, if we want to create a vision board or something, then it could make sense to have it more chaotic. But generally speaking, people like more well-aligned images and a nice and clean structure. The same goes for this example again with our offices. Here on the left side we have a very nice composition because we have it crystal clear where the light is coming from. The desk is in the middle. This is basically the center of the image. Then we have these nice portraits at the end of the wall, and in the middle from the top we have this chandelier. I think it's chandelier, like a crystal lamp. This is one of the most difficult words in English for me. But anyway, you get the point. So it's just super nice and well aligned. And if we look again at the office at the right side, it just looks horrible and nothing is basically aligned. So we have a very bad composition. And even if we talk about the center or the spotlight of the image in the right side, we don't have any spotlight. Here on the left side, it's crystal clear that the center of the image is this main desk. This is well compositioned with the background and the surrounding. And here on the right side, it's just a mess. Good, this was just a little excursus into composition, proportion, and aesthetics. I don't want to talk too much about these aspects, but I just want to remind you to take care of also these little aspects, because AI gives us the opportunity to create one image after each other without thinking too much about it. But sometimes we just have to rethink an idea and create it again because maybe the composition is not perfect or the aesthetics or even the proportions. And especially regarding the proportions, you sometimes even have to use image manipulation or just create the whole image again.